Please rewind this cassette.
All right. Hey guys, Pat here from Please Rewind. This is a response video to comments I have gotten on my recent videos. The reason I'm doing this video is that because for a long time I haven't done anything in this sort of format. And by that I mean that I haven't responded to negative or positive comments on my videos. Back in the past, I used to make response videos to negative comments. Pretty much that was it. If I had a string of negative comments, I would respond to them on a popular video. I made several videos that were never published that were me responding to my Last Jedi videos, but they ended up just being laborious and I didn't really enjoy them, and I thought it came off a little petty. I thought this would be fun though, since I'm kind of getting back into the groove of YouTube, and I know a lot of you have said a lot of nice things lately, and I just want to respond to you in a very direct way and say thank you. And beyond that, I would also like to maybe give some clarification on some specific things relating to certain comments, or in general how I feel about comments and why I reply a certain way to some people. And I think some people, the biggest misconception they have about me is I think they assume I have this anger and arrogance that I get very upset when I respond very sarcastically sometimes to a comment, but I want to make it very clear that that is just being playful, and typically it is what I find to be very funny. And so I'm usually doing that solely for, in the moment of reading the comment, I find this thought in my head to be funny, and I respond with that joke. But I'm really not trying to get in a fight with someone. That doesn't mean I won't get into an argument in a comment section, but typically the way I try to approach it is to be as nice as possible, as to take the tension out of what the person was saying, because I feel a lot of the time when someone leaves a negative comment, typically from my experience, it's left purely out of emotion. They have a few good points, and you're like, okay, you have some good points here about my video, but then you'll usually find that they're upset because you didn't agree with them on something, or that you have a point of view that clashes with their own. So they come back at you with this long, detailed negative comment that is clearly at a point they're kind of trying to psychoanalyze you because they have a problem with you, which is fine. But that's the only time I kind of come back and I'm a little snarky, is because the judgment is very annoying. And it's honestly uncalled for, because your criticism is valid, and I usually agree with those criticisms, in particular to my early videos. The issue is when you start to break down how I feel about these things, or my life, or why I do the things I do. And at that point, you're just saying bullshit, which once again is fine, but I'm going to respond to it and try to correct you on what you think about me, because I know what I feel and my intentions behind things, even if I can take the criticism that maybe my intentions didn't clearly come across in how they were presented in the video, which is a fair criticism. But to just say, you did this because of this, is just too broad for me. But we'll go down the list here. Okay. Noah Todd. Every time I see a video on The Last Jedi, all I can think about is the wasted potential of it, and that makes me sad. Sad. Yeah, I agree. Even though I'm at a point where I'm very apathetic towards The Last Jedi, I think a valid point of view on the pain that a lot of us feel about it is because the new Star Wars films could have really been something special, and there was a feeling in the air, at least when they were announced to those of us who didn't just go to complete cynicism, that maybe they could be good, that this could be a good thing, and we could actually see the original trio together again, and we could have these exciting new moments again, and just be back in that universe, but in a way that is, applied to modern special effects and how movies look now. If anything, I think George Lucas had the right idea to try to take Star Wars into a new realm as far as the special effects go, even though I don't really like the framing of those movies. I don't like how he shoots dialogue scenes and so on in the prequel trilogy. But I think it's really interesting that the going back for nostalgia and basics and things that we thought we wanted, I think in a lot of ways resulted to the blandness of these new Star Wars films, because it was hard for filmmakers to put their own stamp on the material, because they were being so held back by preconceived notions of the aesthetics. Boycott Star Wars. I'm not really on the boycott yet, but I'm not interested in episode 9. Be right back, gonna go get laid now. This is a response to Please Rewind gives dating advice. Just be yourself, bro. Hilarious video. The monotone voice and images were too perfect. Yeah, I think the monotone delivery is the key to the video. That list describes Russell Brand, and I would say that proves some of my points, even if the video is hyperbole. That Russell Brand has done very well with women in his life. He was with Katy Perry and women like Russell Brand. So even though I find him incredibly annoying, there's validity in being like him would probably mean you could get very attractive women. Why do you repeat one thing like 4 times? Well, I responded to this. I didn't script my videos then or edit the audio. I used to just hit record and improvise material and just kind of throw things at the wind and see if they would hit. This was back when my channel was much smaller. I wasn't aware at the time that the Rose video would get 300,000 views. The thinking at the time was I'd be lucky if I could break 10,000, which was the goal, and then it did that in like a day. And then I went, oh shit, I could have honestly spent some time. Honestly, it's one of my biggest regrets of the channels. I feel like if I had edited that video better and done better on the recording, just with the views and how that video really hit at the right time, I think I could have grown my channel so much more. I think I'd be at 25, 30,000 subscribers, because you only get those moments ever so often that you have to capitalize on with YouTube, where the video that gets the hits really needs to be good to grow the audience. And the problem is that typically what sucks is that the videos that you're really proud of that are good, a lot of the time in my experience, are the ones that don't get the views and aren't the ones that blow up. Even though you get a lot of comments with people saying, man, this video is great, you should have way more subscribers, and you know, you're very happy with it on a personal level, but then the video that blows up is always the one that you weren't very certain on from the quality, and it was sloppy and you weren't totally confident in. Now the criticism towards me should be, and it's fair, that I should try to have a consistent quality to my videos, and I've been trying to do that more the last year, but I would say in particular the last 6 months, and I'm always trying to improve. But yeah, the biggest issue is that was when I did a lot of ums, and I didn't have my thoughts clearly put together before I went in, so the video isn't concise, and I repeat myself too much. And this is a problem with a lot of my early videos, is repeated amount of ums, and a ridiculous amount of repeating myself in general, where I make the same point several times. Although I do believe in repetition having a point. There's a lot of discussion about this. In particular, there's a Philip Glass opera called Einstein on the Beach, which is about repetition, and there's something with math about that and numbers. I won't go into it all here, but I do like repeating myself, not just because it's a flaw I have in speaking, but I actually think repetition helps you burn a point into someone's head enough, even if it seems annoying and pointless to do so, because the point should come across the first time right. I think there's value in repetition, especially in people learning information. For example, if you want to learn something, a new skill, typically you acquire it and you get better at it by repeating it, like cooking something, the recipe. The more you repeat the recipe, you should be better at doing it. Now, I know that's different when somebody's doing an analysis of something, but I believe the repetition helps sell the point a little bit more that this is very directly how I feel about this thing. And it's such a blunt statement. The hope is that it has an impact, being spread out through your full analysis, but you keep reiterating this point. There's probably a better way to do it. Let's say like in a Plinkett review where he'll use the same catchphrases than what I was doing at this time. And then you don't need to spend as much money. This is beautiful. Thank you. This is how I feel about the execution of The Last Jedi. Drops the axe. Too real, man. Too real on the dating advice video. The fucking guaranteeing was the best punchline after your extremely mellow voice talking about how to put on a facade to scam girls. Yeah, I think that is part of it, is the how mellow my delivery is, monotone it is, and then how Terrible Lizard's editing is so kinetic. So it's really coming at you. The voice is calm and the delivery is kind of slowly paced and seems uncertain, but the editing has an immediacy to it that I think is the juxtaposition of the video is what makes it work. Is that his editing complements so well the flaws in my original audio, where also my delivery and audio, the points that really work, and the delivery in particular, helps him with his visual punchlines. So we complement each other very well. And some wonder why more of us just fuck other bros. No, I don't wonder. I totally think being gay would be awesome. What the hell? Very funny video. I just discovered your channel a few days ago. I subbed and was watching some old videos, including the James Gunn video. You mentioned seeing The Shining in Columbus. I was just aware of you living in Penn. So this is all about they having a relative who lives in Ohio, and I've read this comment. I don't find it that part to be as interesting. But this is very nice. I'm glad you like Ohio. You should have sub numbers like Mahler or Dishonored Wolf. Your personality is so much more relatable and not pretentious. That is the one thing that can be felt when watching their content. I understand that is a big reason why viewers enjoy the content, but sometimes it feels like they overdo it. I just find myself preferring your point of view a bit more if I had to choose. That is a thing about me. I have the David Letterman approach. I don't like to act smarter than my audience. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I try to be more relatable and flawed and kind of a guy. It's always been a joke with me in my life, how I kind of play a character. And the character is an intelligent guy who acts like a very childish, dumb person, a very immature person. Yet they clearly have sat around and thought deeply about all these topics and things. But when they're presenting them, when they're discussing them with other people, it's done in a very silly, absurd way, which to me always punctuates the humor and this feeling of apathy that I don't care about the things I'm talking about, even though I care deeply, and it's obvious. But it's as if I'm presenting it as that it's nothing to me. I don't think Mahler's pretentious. I can maybe see that criticism with Dishonored Wolf. I think Mahler's just is who he is, and I think Mahler's very well-rounded in the way he discusses things. But one problem I do have with video essayists and analysis channels is this idea that I am a genius because I made a video breaking down plot or story or cinematography of a film because I have knowledge of this thing that's a hobby of mine, which would be a movie buff or anything like that, and I can explain this to other people. And because of this gives me some kind of higher ability to understand all things or intelligence when, a lot of people don't care about those details. They don't care about the minutia. They don't care about Kal-El, Superman, and they don't care about specifics. Like who directed a movie. The general public typically doesn't care about that, let's say, unless you're like a Steven Spielberg or Christopher Nolan, for example. So for me in general, I don't like to be that guy. I don't want my videos to come off as self-important. So I always try to not be that way. That's a big goal of mine with my work. But I appreciate the comment. So be fake, say no more. Finally, some real advice. So what you're saying is don't try at all. No, that's not what I'm saying. Very good advice. How to get a girl. Give her $1,000 to pretend you date her for a while. To pretend to date you for a while. The archives are no longer incomplete. Really good wisdom here from my good friend Kildano, who I did the Alien Star Wars live stream with, and we've had this conversation about women. Nene on the Noobs from Frasier. I'm going to skip some of these just because it's about one video in particular, and I'd like to spread around what I'm talking about. I responded emotionally a couple times when I saw them. Superman screaming when Lois dies before he turns back the world. Incredible scene and performance by Christopher Reeve is that moment. Harry saying goodbye to his daughter. Grace and Armageddon. Okay. And pretty much every scene in this movie. When he crashed the car into the wall with Clara in the car, I was transfixed. Very rare a movie or any story for this matter had the emotional impact Fearless had on me. A truly brilliant movie. I agree. Fearless sustains its emotional weight throughout, even if it is a slowly paced film. This Patrick dude has such an annoying way of speaking, yet the "no, I am so much smarter than you" whenever I hear it, no matter what's the content, I feel like strangling the speaker's neck. Yeah, I do think Patrick's presentation, which might be self-aware to a point and part of the joke, I think is very annoying. And I think it hurts the decent editing and formatting of his videos that he just comes off like a completely unlikable person. But maybe that's part of it. I don't know who Patrick really is. Is this your audition for EFAP? Mahler has said in the past, on some, I think on his Discord, that he would have me on an EFAP at some point. He does follow me on Twitter. I think me and Mahler would get along great. I think it's a combo that needs to happen, more so than a lot of other people that I'm a fan of. So Patrick's favorite scene is the tit monster. You know, I could say many things about that. Yeah, I think he was joking, but it does give you a look into Patrick a little bit, if that's actually something that he thought was awesome. The part where he plays disturbed over Luke Skywalker is cringe and incorrect. He knows nothing about character and motivation. I always liked Richard, and he had the balls to give Ghostbusters 2016 a bad review, even though I'm sure he knew that the SJW crowd would target him. I'm in the minority on this one, but I liked him more than Gene. I think it's terrible that Gene died so young, but I thought he was smug and went out of his way to shit on popular movies. Also, Gene was disrespectful towards Chris Farley and pretty nasty about his career right after he died. So this is on my Richard Roper video, which I wish I could redo because there's a lot of points I'd like to go into, but I might do videos on Gene and Roger, because I'm such a fan of At the Movies, and Gene Siskel was a big influence on me as a film critic. I've often said this, I think Gene was the better critic, Roger was the better writer, and better read, which I think has been confirmed. Roger's reviews are beautifully written, even if they're insane. Sometimes I don't know if he understood how a movie worked. And Gene, I think, had very good taste. And I think typically what he liked, I would generally agree with him on. But this is a valid criticism, and this is something that a lot of us are annoyed about with Siskel and Ebert, in particular when you think about the 80s era, how many slasher films and action films they gave bad reviews to, and you go watch the reviews and their arguments are just very lame, and a lot of it is they didn't like the violence or this movie's not good for children. They would just almost completely ignore the subtext or any entertainment value that could come out of something like this. They would give these movies 1 star. I mean, example I would say is the first Terminator, or movies like Dream Warriors, and how they would talk about them, and you just watch it now and it just seems like they just didn't get it. And Gene would shit on a popular movie a lot, and I wasn't a fan of that either. When I liked Gene was when he gave wonderful reviews on movies he did. Like, I think they have the finest Schindler's List review in several movies, and I think Gene could be a terrific critic when he talks about Ed Wood, for example. But then a lot of the time, the enjoyment factor of the show came from them arguing and disagreeing on a movie. But I will agree, there was a lot of movies that, you know, as time went on, became universally loved, and Roger would try to reflect on that a little bit to his credit. And at the time, they would just act like it was the biggest piece of shit in the world. And, you know, that probably just had something to do with age and culture and where they were at and their taste, that they just weren't into that kind of movie. We have film critics now that are more influenced by those genres, and so when they get analytical, Rob Ager would be a good example. He can talk about Stanley Kubrick, but he can also talk about The Thing by John Carpenter, which Ebert gave a very, not a super negative review to, but, you know, just did not go in depth on the same things that are clearly there, that are very interesting things to discuss about that movie. Discussing Patrick's Star Wars and plot holes video never gets old. Oh, it would be great to see you in Mahler streams. Thank you. The things you make fun of him for are reflected in you petty ironic. Now, I don't know if this Dakotan was just fucking with me or serious. I don't know. I get this criticism a lot, though, that you're doing the things that I said in the video, that I criticized the person in the video for. Like, you said the movie was paced bad. Your video's paced bad. You say this has no focus. Your video has no focus. You're saying this person's arrogant and insecure and boring. You're arrogant, insecure, and boring, which, you know, it's fine if you feel that way, but it's not that interesting of a comment. It's kind of like saying an obvious joke, like, oh, you are the flaws that you're trying to say, you hypocrite, which really, you can have those same flaws and think that they're wrong in someone else, and then you can have those flaws too. Like, the difference between me and Patrick, I would say, is that I could maybe admit to having those flaws if you threw them at me, but Patrick would act like he doesn't have any of them and you're just stupid. That, you know, I can see that maybe some of the humor comes from the fact that I have those same characteristics. But the thing that people ignored, I guess, who felt this way in the Patrick video was that I was trying to parody Patrick. I mean, that's why I was wearing the sunglasses and sitting there on the webcam the way I was. Originally, I was going to be sitting across from a table talking to either my pet rabbit or this Yoda I have, or my girlfriend, and explain why The Last Jedi sucks. Or I was going to talk about a movie like Batman v Superman and use Patrick's same format to talk about why that's a good movie when it's bad. But that was the general idea, was that I was playing up being Patrick. I was also drinking, but some people, I guess, think it was childish and it was a lot of aggressive insults. Okay, I don't feel that way. I thought that shit was funny. I think when I'm sucking the bottle like it's a cock and saying he does that in his free time, to me that's just funny, but we just might have a different sense of humor. And I think the fact that I'm improvising everything is honestly pretty impressive when you consider that Patrick spent hours writing a script and editing and all that, and I'm just sitting there and I think I'm riffing better material than anything he's saying in the video. I will say that my Last Jedi arguments are pretty weak in this one because I hadn't seen the movie in a long time, and this response was months later, and I'm sure Patrick probably revisited the film a few more times. Although I don't think he added anything either. I think if you watch this video less so of me trying to once again criticize The Last Jedi, which I did over several videos, and more as a comedic piece that is absurd, I think there lies the entertainment value. That it's funny that I am coming at Patrick as Patrick, and us both being named Pat. And to me, the whole value of it was, wouldn't it be funny if, I take everything he's saying and I exaggerate and take it a step further. He says, don't give me death threats. Then I keep telling him to kill himself. He talks about, don't talk about SJWs and politics and that. So I start to get really exaggerated in how I feel about those things. That was the joke to me, was, I'm going to out Patrick to make it so ridiculous, to show just that he's taking his video very seriously. And it's this, structured upload thing, where mine was taken from a clip from a live stream I was doing. And I think that's showing you the difference between us, really. And I would say the key to that is self-awareness. The meta nature of The Last Jedi is something that is undeniable in my opinion, but so difficult to prove to douchey, smug contrarians like Patty Boy here. Not you, the other guy. I don't think they ignore it. I think they think of it as a good thing. Most of the glowing reviews of The Last Jedi discuss the subtext and how it's self-aware about Star Wars. And they think of those things as positives, which those who don't like the movie usually see it as a negative. And a lot of it comes down to Rian Johnson's intent. And because Rian Johnson's been so terrible at communicating these things and actually having a conversation, it's left us to interpret things and then fight with each other. Patrick and everyone in his cohort love to explain things. See Fox. Okay, so this is a weird one. Apparently Sargon watches my channel and has for ages. Whatever the fuck long that means. I've been watching your channel for ages, and you look way cooler than I expected from the sound of your voice. Well, thank you, Carl. I wish I could say the same. It's kind of the opposite with you. You looked way worse than I thought from the sound of your voice. I used to be a big fan of Sargon like 2 years ago, and I always felt like he'd watched my channel. And I remember that people would say to me back when I was the Patriarchy and I only had 2,000 subs, that, why do you think all these people in the skeptic community, these bigger YouTubers, know who you are? And I would just say, in general, just this vibe from knowing other YouTubers and being kind of making videos in a similar way, to where I would cover a topic and they would cover the same topic. And I just felt the sense of like there was an awareness of me. But I could have been wrong, but I was in a Fox News article, and then I found out JonTron was subscribed to me. And I know a lot of people are skeptical. Like, one of the biggest criticisms I get on some of my videos, like when I made the Channel Awesome video, or when I made a video on skeptics, the skeptic community, people would always say, why do you think these people care who you are? You're just some small YouTuber, you're irrelevant, and you're discussing these people. Now, this is the problem that people don't get. Oh, this is the thing with those people, the problem that they don't understand about YouTube, is that if you're in YouTube and you're very invested in it, if you're balls deep in it, just like if you are, let's say, in music and you know some indie band that hasn't sold 1 million records, as a YouTuber, you know smaller YouTubers. So, sure, the general public or somebody who's just passing by is just looking at the numbers. Oh, you have 400 videos, but only, and it always changes. It used to be you have 200 videos and you only have 5,000 subs. What's wrong with you? This guy made 10 videos and has 1,000,000 subs. Oh, now you have 460 videos and you only have 10,000 subs. And then I'm sure if I had 50,000 subs, they'd go, you made 500 videos and you only have 50,000 subs. Unless you seem to pass like 100,000, people seem to think that having a certain amount of subscribers isn't impressive, even though the difficulty, statistically speaking, to have 10,000 subscribers on YouTube and active fans is not that common. The average person who makes a YouTube channel gets nothing going. They're lucky if they even get views on a single video, quite frankly, which, you know, whatever. But this proves the fact that Sargon was aware of the channel, which is something I was thinking of, and that other YouTubers are aware of it. I don't know why he waited so long to comment. I always said to JonTron, like, where's the shout out? You could help me out, Carl. But also, Razorfist blocked me on Twitter, and I think a lot of people thought that he didn't know who I was, but he did. And so this main thing is just to point out that people in the past have said that I'm just I have an ego, and a problem with some of my videos is that I just assume that these bigger YouTubers or these people that are much more relevant care about me. And the truth is, a lot of the time is that I'm only talking about them or acting like there's a direct connection is because I do have a connection to them and they have talked to me. Like when I used to talk about Max Landis and people said, well, he didn't care about you, even though me and him had gotten many Twitter arguments. So it's like, well, no, I've had contact with Max Landis. I'm not just pulling it out of my ass, acting like I've had an interaction with Max or something like that. But cool, Sargon of a Cat. I don't think he's subscribed to me. I want to make sure I'm still recording. Yeah, he's not subscribed to me, but it's cool that he's watched my stuff. I don't know if he started watching me as the Patriarchy or Please Rewind. But this, you know, to his credit though, he's always been a fan of smaller channels and supported them. So if you listen to this, Carl, or at all, I appreciate you being a fan. I don't know if you're a fan. Your comment's a little. I don't know if you watched my stuff because you didn't like it or you thought it was cringe. I really don't know, but thank you for watching it anyway. Thank you for leaving a comment on the channel, which gives some validation to the work I've been doing. And hopefully, you know, you can make yourself more of a presence in the future, because I don't really have a problem with that. Because I think we could have a fun conversation about movies and get out of the politics a little bit. And we could. I like your Jurassic World video. I like your Alien Covenant video, and I think you're very good at that. And I would like to see that side of you a little bit more. This was way too long. So much wasting of time and not getting to the point. Too much childish personal attacks. Kill yourself, really. I agree that the video is too long. I didn't edit this one. I wish it could have been edited. It was taken from Box Office Addict, and I just didn't want to go through the 2 hours and edit it. I will admit laziness in this. The only part I think really drags is the music section, where I'm playing the music while I'm getting ready. For the most part, I think the video is actually pretty well paced. The problem is a lot of the context for the jokes are from the full episode of Box Office Addict that I was watching Cabin Fever before, and there was this whole joke about me partying. And I think a lot of that doesn't come across, and that I'm talking to the chat, as well as it doesn't if the video was edited. So a lot of it, out of context or the flow of the full live stream, it seems a little out of place. But I will say that I think the majority of it, I think, is pretty solid. I think it's fun, and I don't think telling someone to kill themselves is childish. And I thought the way I did it was very entertaining for me. I don't really have any issues with it. But once again, iDub said that about Keemstar, and everyone said it was brilliant. And also, Patrick is the one who watches movies made for kids. I like Please Rewind Pat better than Outdated Hipster Pat. I'm sure Outdated Hipster Pat loves his wife and his wife's boyfriend's son, and he's a very nice guy. I love that guy. I'm a simple man. I see Please Rewind and Last Jedi, I click. Yeah, I know. I think the majority of my subscribers just want more, great. Yes. Please, Turbo Lizard, I would love you, because I was actually thinking about editing my Oscar video and my discussion about the Oscars, because I love doing Oscar reaction videos, and we did them last year, and I would love if you did some editing on that. Please, if you could do that quickly. Also, yay, I'm in the comments. Yes, you are. This isn't John Wick, this is John Dick. Great video as always. Thank you, Preston. Will you make a long review of Roma? Yes, at some point. I really want to talk about that film and how I have issues with it. You should have directed The Last Jedi. I agree. Although I would have turned it down, I would have done a better job. J.J. Abrams is absolutely retarded. I love the first Alien, but Aliens is just on another level. I don't totally agree with that, but I think in some ways it's on another level. In the genre it's in as an action movie. Yeah, Johnny Depp is box office poison on some level. Murder on Orient Express did well, but I think that was despite him. Clickbait, bitch. Once again, Box Office Addict does not clickbait. You need to read the description. That's your fault. Sorry, I'm trying to just load some of these. But once again, the Box Office Addict, don't be fooled. And I told the guy, you didn't pay attention or read the description. It's misleading, simple as that. It's not misleading. You're just a dumbass who doesn't understand YouTube. Then he goes, boring. Like a Trump tweet. Stupid, sad. Barry is such an outstanding show, truly. I checked it out because I love Bill Hader, but I really wasn't expecting much from it. Man, I was wrong. NoHo Hank is my favorite all-time character now. The only one I think needs to go is Sally. She's such an arrogant, self-centered person. Also, very big fan of my Barry review. And I think Barry is a great show and still underrated. I thought it would have caught on more by this time, and it hasn't really. I'm not the only one, thank you, on my Will Hunting video. You're welcome, Volpix. You're welcome. Garbage game like the people that support. I don't. Alien Covenant's not a game. I don't understand that comment. You were so right. People don't watch it for his shitty jokes, acting, or video quality. We watch because of the content in the movies and shows he's talking about. Because I was the kid in the late 80s and early 90s. Yes, that is the key to Nostalgia Critic. The things he is talking about is the appeal, not Doug himself. He came up with that format. It was very wise, and it's benefited him greatly. But Doug himself is a mediocre talent at best. I'd say he's the Salieri to James Rolfe Mozart, if you get what I mean. Also, the Bohemian Rhapsody review, a lot of people had problems with that. A lot of people love that movie, and I just, it's like, okay. I sort of get it. Every single one are good. Yeah, Tales from the Tour Bus is terrific, and season 2 is about funk. People get mad when the story doesn't turn out how they want, so they decide it's a bad movie. So annoying. This argument doesn't hold up to the list of criticisms people have of The Last Jedi. It's a bad movie because it's poorly written on its own terms. That's an argument that has become outdated, that you didn't get what you wanted, so that's why you think the movie's bad. That's not what anyone's saying, and there were expectations and things set up in the previous film that were poorly handled in the film, not because we didn't get what we wanted, because the way they were handled was poorly done. Step Up 3D is better than Strictly Ballroom, Singing in the Rain. Cop Out, really not trusting your judgment. No, it's better than The Godfather and Citizen Kane. Step Up 3D's fucking awesome. From a pacing standpoint, Alien is the one that feels dated. I could see that point of view. Alien does have that 70s slow burn feel, and that's the only thing that kind of ages it a little bit, where I don't know if Aliens has that issue as much. I think that's an interesting point. What's wrong with Rose? Are you kidding me? I fucking hated Rose. Alright, I'm just gonna do a few more here. The lightsaber throwaway killed my soul. My favorite Halloween movie and happy 25th anniversary film, The Halloween Tree, which I'd like to do a different video on that's much better because I'm such a fan of The Halloween Tree. Angry Joe left Channel Awesome as well. That's an old comment. I've never did the follow-up to my Channel Awesome videos because I was just felt like I was just going to do Medicur's video series in a worse quality. Although his is more of a recap. I would like to give more subjective opinions on it. You will not rob us, Daddy Pat. Glad to see you back, Pat. We missed you. They were trying to watch Rampage. They deserve disappointment. Okay, we'll just do like one more. Yep, Ray's awesome. You'd have to be alive, living basically on the streets. Why would you be surprised? Did you doubt Han Solo's street smarts too? To be realistic, she should have easily been more savage. I mean, Rey just doesn't have much of a character at all to be more savage or comedic. She just changes on a whim, sort of like Kylo. I don't think Rey's well defined. And just because she's had a rough life, I mean, I can buy that she's tough because of that and can scavenge, but that doesn't, that's my problem with her, is that how great she is in the Force. And I think Han Solo was just a more rounded out character. And a lot of that was, as a character he was kind of playing up himself. Han Solo really wasn't that bad guy. He wasn't as savvy as he came across. He was kind of a fuck up. That was part of the charm, where Rey keeps exceeding expectations, even though she has no real faith in herself and she doesn't have a lot of things she stands for or represents symbolically that's powerful enough to follow. And yeah, in general, she's out of focus. If like the lens, she's an out of focus character, and I'm not surprised by her. I just find her characterization and things that she consistently does to be odd and confusing. And I think whenever people try to really prove Rey's credibility as a character and her being good, I think those arguments always end up somebody really stretching. Even if you like the new movies, Rey's a very tough character to defend and praise, because she is so limited and she has so many of the problems that generic characters have in movies. People always say, well, she's like a generic hero in a movie. It's like, yeah, a bad movie with a bad generic hero male character, if you take out the feminist aspects and the political arguments people are having with the movie. If Rey was a male character, she would be just as boring and flawed. I don't think people would be giving her a pass if it was a guy. People have had criticisms like Harry Potter's being this way, but the Harry Potter universe, at least the world building and the supporting characters kind of fleshed Harry out more in the lore, where I don't think Rey has that support. Rey could be a bad character and these movies could still work. The problem is that neither one works. Thank you, though. Thank you for all the comments. I'll try to do this again sometime, and I'm happy that I passed 10,000 subscribers, and you guys are great.